Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. As Matt says, today's session is about extending management workflows to teachers. So my name is Rachelle. I'm a systems engineer here at Jamf, and I work alongside Craig and Matt. So I'm here to take you through how Jamf can help enable and empower teachers and allow them to focus on the important part, teaching, right? So we will discuss a few things about Jamf Teacher, focusing on the integration with Jamf School. So before we begin, a quick agenda overview. So firstly, we'll start with what Jamf Teacher and Student actually are. I know some of you haven't used Jamf products before, so as Mary Poppins used to say, let's start at the very beginning. It's a perfect place to start. And then secondly, from here, we'll talk about scaling your IT team with Jamf Teacher and some of the common problems we hear from customers at Jamf. Then we'll dive into the Jamf Teacher and student applications and show you some of the features that are available to solve those problems. And finally, we'll recap on best practices and how to deploy Jamf Student and Teacher. So when we are thinking about the IT team, but especially in education, I feel this quote really sums up IT. You know, Johnny has dropped his iPad. It wasn't IT's fault at all, but IT then have to fix it. Or, you know, a teacher requires a new set of applications for that morning class. Again, not IT's fault, but, you know, that late request then becomes your priority. And even sometimes you could be in the staff room minding your own business and the kettle's broken. But because you work for IT and it has a plug, they think it's then your problem. So although this might not be able to help you fix the kettle, Jamf Teacher can come in and help with the other requests. So simply put, Jamf Teacher is a free application that teachers can utilize to manage students' devices. Now, before deploying, we should discuss the requirements. So there are a few key points. So teacher and student groups need to be configured before deployment. Your teachers must have logins to access the Jamf Teacher application. And finally, you must be able to enable those specific features we discussed today. But don't worry, I'll take you through it all. So again, to recap, Jamf Teacher is a free application, favorite word, right? It comes with your Jamf School licensing, and that can be deployed to iPadOS, but also macOS, and it can also be accessed via a web browser. You don't need to have an iPad to utilize the features that we can discuss today. So I can imagine most IT admins here today will definitely relate to this GIF. Especially after just going through the first day of school a few weeks ago. But, you know, let's be honest, I'm sure every school day can feel like this, right? Now, here at Jamf, we love how vocal the education community is, and we have been listening. So these are a few of the common requests that we hear. It's like, I want this application. Johnny's forgotten his passcode. I need more control. I've got iPadOS 16 on my iPad at home. Can I get it on my iPad at school? Brace yourself for this one in the coming weeks, I'm sure. And while we get these requests from maybe a few teachers, this can quickly scale. So there may only be one or two IT staff members to combat those requests, but behind each of those teachers, there's even more pupils. So how can Jamf Teacher enable you to empower the teachers and scale your IT team? Now, if we look at how we at Jamf define Jamf Teacher, it explains it perfectly. So we're extending the functionality to enable teachers without the need of IT. I know, right? I can hear all the IT teams out there rejoicing, screaming with joy. And so what those specific features could look like, I've got it for you. So we have app requests, passcode reset, app lock and web lock, lessons, and self-service. Now, we'll break down each of these features and show you the problem, solution, and how we can enable it in the console. So imagine, if you will, you're an IT admin, you're on a well-deserved break, grabbing a coffee in the staff room, and then suddenly Karen, the English teacher, stands next to you. It's like, without even a hi and how you do, she's like, I need a dictionary app on my iPad for my class. You start to think, oh, God, I only came in here for a coffee. What was the app that they wanted? The name? What was the class? You go on about your day, and then it's like, oh crap, how do I remember all these things? Now, if you struggle with these problems, don't worry. We have a built-in solution here at Jamf School. So if you empower the teachers to use the app request functionality, you give them the possibility to submit those requests via the Teacher app with all the information you need. This will give you the advantage that everything is detailed. It's a complete request with all the information. And most importantly, it's traceable. We love a paper trail. The whole process is more efficient and will save you a lot of time following up all these requests. Now, everything we do here at Jamf is with the end user in mind. So to help people be more efficient and get time back in their day. So to use this small but very powerful function, you only need a few clicks within Jamf School. So you need to enable the teacher to submit your detailed requests. Now, if you navigate to Organization, Settings, you'll find the Jamf Teacher tab at the bottom. Here, you need to enable the function Allow Requesting Apps. Now, with that, the teacher will be set up for requesting apps via the Teacher app. Side note, if you don't see this option on the console, make sure to first clear the teacher restrictions on the teacher's iPad. A little handy hint for you then today. The next step is concerning your own visibility. So after enabling the settings for the teacher, navigate to Notifications, and then select Enable Notifications regarding new app requests. Now, if a required app is not installed on the student devices, the teacher can request it for the student and classes from your school's IT department. So for a teacher, the workflow would look like this. So on the teacher's device, they'll go into the Teacher app, open up the App Store, search for the app that you want to request, tap on the little share icon, and then you'll see the lovely Jamf Teacher icon pop up. Select the class for which you want to request the apps for. And at this point, you can select all the students in the class or a specific one. Tap Next, pop in a little reason of why you want to request it, and then tap Submit. Now, on the back end, that functionality within Jamf School, the IT team will be able to have visibility over the request and approve or deny accordingly. Then you as a teacher will receive a notification when the app request is approved or denied. And then you'll be able to also have that status field as well for when those app requests are available, whether it's been approved or denied within the Teacher app dashboard. So now that we've seen the process for the user, let's break down the workflow. Now, everything starts with the teacher. So once they request the app, IT admin is automatically notified in Jamf School, and a smart group of those devices in that class is automatically created. This will save time and simplify the process for IT. Now, the license count dictates what you then need to do next. So if you have the licenses available in Apple School Manager and Jamf School, you'll not need to leave the console and can deploy it out to the smart groups. If you don't have the licenses, you need to log into Apple School Manager, purchase the licenses back into Jamf School for deployment. Now, I'm sure we've all been here receiving that iPad that's been locked for the 10th time today. It's probably Johnny at it again. So what we're introducing today is passcode reset. Now, in general, it's a very simple solution for a very simple problem. In this case, the IT manager delegates the authority to remove passcodes from the student's devices to the teacher by using the teacher app. No more time is wasted between the student going to the IT manager to have the passcode cleared, or missing classes, maybe using some excuses, dawdling in the hallway, and no more of the IT manager's time being interrupted to solve a really simple problem. So the IT admin can set up the functionality in Jamf School. The teacher will then have the possibility to remove the passcodes for all the students linked to the classes of that specific teacher. So we'll first show you from the point of view of the teacher's workflow, students' experience, and how the configuration is done within Jamf School. So on the left, we have our student's locked iPad. I'm sure you are all very, very familiar with this screen. And on the right, we have our teacher's iPad. So our teacher will open up Jamf Teacher and select the class that the pupil is in. Next, we select the student that is locked out. And then we select clear passcode command. It will ask you to confirm and then send the request. And once sent, we'll see the green tick next to the student's name. And then you'll see that the device is then unlocked in a matter of seconds. And you can ask poor old Paul Smith to enter and reset his passcode. Now, when a teacher sends the unlock command from Jamf Teacher, it will be seen under the pupil's devices in the console. Now, this allows you to audit or investigate actions when asked, or some people just find it helpful for simple troubleshooting. So we've seen this from the teacher and the student's perspective. So how is the backend configured for clearing those passcodes in the teacher app? It's a simple configuration within Jamf School, naturally. So the IT manager can log into Jamf School, or go to Organizations, Settings, Jamf School Teacher tab. And there's a lot of different options in there that will pop up where the IT manager can easily tick or untick a box. And one of those options contains, strangely enough, called clear passcodes. So once the box is ticked, the teacher will have the possibility to clear passcodes by using the teacher app. And this can only be done for the students that they are linked to in their own classes. So again, it's another layer of security that we're adding to it. Now, I love this guy. If only my hands could go that quickly, but I think that this really sums up, that someone else's urgency then becoming your priority. And the teacher app itself actually holds great power for classroom management if the IT manager then allows it in the setup. So features such as App Lock and Web Lock are giving the teachers the ability to prepare their own lessons in advance. It's an easy configuration in the Jamf School management system, but it will free up so much time for both the IT manager as well as the teacher, because then they can prepare things in advance. And we know how organized teachers are, right? It's super efficient workflow for both parties. The teachers can set up their own preferences and have full control in the classroom. And the IT admin can delegate that preparation to the teacher and saves a lot more time and manual work. So as usual, we'll first show you the point of view from the teacher, the student's experience, and how the configuration is done within Jamf School. So here we have two iPads. The one on the left is the teacher's iPad, and the one on the right is the student's. So Jamf Teacher isn't a replacement for Apple Classroom, but it is instead an extension. As always at Jamf, we are working with Apple in collaboration. So let's see how we can lock the student iPad into only the apps the student needs to complete the learning objectives of the lesson. So first we jump into the Teacher app, and you can see that it's a very similar feel and look to Apple Classroom. Click on App Lock. Then we choose the apps that we need that are required for the lesson. And at the top, you can see that you have the ability to limit the time of that interaction, be it for a 10-minute task or for the whole duration of the lesson itself. Now, when the lock is enabled on the student's iPad, it only displays the apps that have been selected by the teacher. So they know that that student is on task. Now, once the task is complete or the lesson is over, you can release the app lock and the iPad will then return to its normal state. All of this done without an IT ticket. I know. Great. And it's a pretty similar story for Weblock. So again, jumping into that Teacher app. And you'll see that, again, we've got the time limitations. And you can see on the student app, they're allowed to access the website within the favorites bar. So you just need to type in the URLs of the needed for that specific lesson, and then select the child in that lesson. And then once you go through to the actual favorites bar, you can see that that's popped up there for them. You don't need to add additional subpages. And then they can have all the functionality within that page. So we've got here Chester Zoo, the wonderful world that is Chester Zoo. But if they wanted to maybe deviate from the task, maybe go onto Google, you'll be able to see that that also is restricted. So again, this is a great tool for teachers to ensure that the students are staying on task and taking away all possible distractions on the device. So the two examples of the restrictions before were based on an ad hoc situation, where the teacher would apply these restrictions during the class. However, it's also possible to prepare everything in advance so that the teacher can truly focus on the lesson itself. Now, they can do this with the help of lesson creation functionality within the Teacher app. So the teacher opens up the app, goes to the sections of My Lessons. Strangely, click on Create Lesson. I know, intuitive. The first thing that the teacher can do is give a lesson a name, some detailed information about the content, because they might want to use it for other classes that they teach. And then they can select the apps that can be used by the student during the class. So this feature is similar to the app lock feature that we just went through. And not only can the teacher decide the apps that can be used, but they can also add the whitelisted domains for the lesson as well. And if necessary, the teacher can also apply some restrictions in advance. For example, disabling social media or the camera. And as you can see, it's a simple toggle switch to enable them to do that. So once you've got your lesson configured, it's really easy to apply. So when the lesson starts, the teacher can open up the lesson and push the restrictions to the students as they're walking in, making some noise, getting settled. And you can predetermine the length of time that you want it to be applied for. So on the student app, you'll only see the selected apps available. And the student can only navigate to the websites enabled by the teacher. Now, all of these restrictions have been set up in advance, which allows the teacher to start immediately with the class, utilizing those precious minutes that you have with those small sponge-like brains. So even the teacher can be prepared everything in advance. Ad hoc restrictions can still be applied during the lesson like normal. So as you can see, with just a few clicks, a teacher has the ability to configure the iPad so that it's a powerful learning tool without taking up too much valuable teaching time. So after seeing the front end of the solution, let's pop to the back end. So we've got Jamf School. It's the same configuration as setting up the passcode reset functionality. So the IT manager can log into their Jamf School instance, pop to organizations, settings, Jamf School Teacher. You're getting the gist of this now. The IT manager will then need to just tick off the boxes for activating the features for the teacher's device. So once the groups and classes have been set up correctly for the teacher, they can start applying restrictions during class or preparing lessons in advance. You want more. I know you want more, but don't worry. Here at Jamf, we've always providing you with more. Don't worry. So before we begin, just a few definitions of what we are going to be looking at further. So the most important being Webclips. Now, these are displayed as icons on the user's home screen when they're installed via MDM and not in the actual browser itself. Applications. I'm hoping in this day and age, everyone's aware of applications, fingers crossed. Documents. Now, I think this is a real hidden gem, which most deployments don't really take advantage of, but it can solve so many problems like, printing multiple pages, lots of colored documents floating around. I mean, who really reads them anyway, right? So first up, we have a simple Webclip installation that will give, in this example, the teacher easy access to BBC News. So they open Jamf Teacher, select the education bookmark group and install. Within a matter of moments, the teacher now has quick access to BBC News from the home screen. Now, as you'll know, this opens in Safari, but it looks slightly different as through Jamf School, we've configured it to hide the tab bar. And this is how we would do it. There's no secret source, just a standard Webclip configuration profile that is deployed to Jamf Teacher. So next, we can also do the same for applications. So we can see the teacher can access all applications, but we can also group them to make finding specific categories or developers easily. So for example, we have a list of Google applications here where the teacher can simply tap install from the Jamf Teacher home screen. Or we can add animations to the group, just like we've done for this Microsoft group here, giving the user a familiar App Store-like experience. And for IT, we can easily display how the layout of Jamf Teacher looks either by list mode or animated window. Either way, this will make it look familiar yet enticing, like an App Store-like process for end users without much IT time required. And finally, we have a mixed model, including Webclips, applications, and documents, all in a simple teacher starter kit mode. So let's say there's a new teacher started midterm and you need to get them up to speed pretty quickly. So this can be helpful for the new teacher, but more importantly for IT. So rather than download app XYZ or profile ABC, along with a printed handbook that can be found in the office, it can now simply be open up Jamf Teacher, find the teacher starter kit, select download all, and you're done. Pretty straightforward. And you guessed it, we made it pretty easy to deploy and save IT time as well. So as you can see here, in a group, we can scope multiple different objects that will then display in the Jamf Teacher app. But why? Well, we wanted you to save IT time, but also the users. I think we've achieved that. We wanted it to be simple and familiar for the end user, tick, and we wanted to empower the end user to solve issues that really matter to them, tick. We also want to make users love IT again. I'll leave that one up to you. Maybe you need to pop and fix that kettle. But I'm sure you've all seen something today that will be useful in your own environment. But, let's not get ahead of ourselves. With great power comes great responsibility. So, think about how, when, and why you'll deploy Jamf Teacher. How are you going to deploy it? Do you need every feature that we've shown today? Maybe a phased rollout of the features to give IT time to test what works best. We are here to give you the tools to be a hero, to solve the problems not only for teachers, but for yourselves as IT. So how should we define success? Ultimately, this will be up to you, but a good example may look a little something like this. So without Jamf Teacher, we have very little IT time and lots of iPad requests. Now, if we begin with a pilot phase of Jamf Teacher, say 10% of your staff, we should see requests begin to drop. And as we phase Jamf Teacher across the school as a whole, it will then free up IT to look further ahead at bigger projects and what's to come, what's on the horizon that will help everyone throughout the whole school. Now, at Jamf, as I'm sure most of you are aware, we love our resources. So everyone get their cameras out, ready to scan some QR codes. So I wanted to leave you with some great next steps in the form of Jamf Educator. So this is our online platform for both IT and educators. So there is an educator track and also an IT track as well. Now, this requires zero setup. Just log in with your Jamf ID. If you don't have one, free to set up. Free is the buzzword of the day. And it will enable you to have a full virtual playground. You don't even need an iPad to test it out and discover what Jamf Teacher can allow for you. So no real excuses. So as I say, have a little bit of a scan of that. I'll leave it up for a second. So not only is it free, but if you complete the modules, you'll be rewarded with a digital Jamf Educator badge. Who doesn't love a badge? I know I do. And we also have a free guide for IT admins as well. So this will tell you how to integrate Jamf Teacher for Jamf School and also Jamf Pro. And this is consistently being updated alongside with the application itself, ensuring you're always up to date on the latest information from Jamf Teacher. Here we go, have a scan. And finally, there's no real need for you to build those resources for your staff. We have you covered with this user guide. So this is a feature that is jam-packed with information and broken down so that it covers everything within the application. So with that, I want to thank you all for being here. Hopefully you've seen something that you'll take away with you today and try to implement to improve your workflow back at your school.